Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My kids are in the video again today because we are doing part 2 of Do a Lesson with Us. And today's lesson is the good and the beautiful, the human body. So we're gonna do a science lesson with us today. So if you want to see us in action and how the good and the beautiful science lesson works, stay tuned. Okay, so as I mentioned, we use the good and the beautiful science this year, which if you're not familiar with that, their science is broken up into units. So here's 2 examples of how the good and the beautiful science come when you order it, just so you know. It's just shrink wrapped and it's not hole punched or bound or anything like that. And you can do whatever you want with it. I know some people put them in like a spiral binding, but there's a lot of stuff you have to cut out and use. So this is just what I did. You use the front cover in a notebook and this works easy enough. And then when I do need to make copies, I just open this up and take out what I need to copy and hole punch it and put it back in. So then I have it when if I decide to do it, in a couple years again, when we rotate through. So that's how the good and the beautiful is set up. So there is some prep work that we have to do. And that's something that there have been times where I've forgotten to look through the lesson. This is one of those lessons that I think I said on Wednesday, oh, we're gonna do science today. And I looked through and I was like, oh, we need all these supplies that I didn't have. So we didn't do science that day. So you do need to plan ahead if you're gonna use the science and make sure you have it. So I have all the supplies over here that I need, and I will show you when we get into the experiments. This does have a lot of cool experiments. So you guys will get to do the lesson with us and see what you think. We are loving this so far this year. What we do for Bible, when we have a science lesson, which we do our science lesson just one day a week right now. The lessons are pretty long, and we do 3 days of history and whatever, that's what works for us. So every time we do one of our science lessons, I do a devotional out of this book, Indescribable, 100 Devotions About God and Science by Louis Giglio. I have loved this. So as we go through our lessons, every time we try a new lesson, I just go through the table of contents here and find something that has to do, find a devotional that has to do with what we're studying in science that day, and it ties in perfectly. So like when we did the muscular system, there was a devotional talking about muscles and how God made muscles work, and there's always a really cool tie-in. So that's what I do when we do science, which is pretty cool. And then our other days we do a different thing for Bible. So we're gonna read out of this today. Today we are learning about the circulatory system. So we are reading a devotional called The Heart of the Matter. Psalm 33, 13 through 15 says, the Lord looks down from heaven. He sees every person. He made their hearts. He understands everything they do. When you put your hand on your chest, do you know what that thumping feeling is? Can you put your hand on your chest and feel it? It's your heart. Do you know when it started thumping? After being in your mom's womb for only 22 days. So you were like teeny tiny. Now that you're much bigger, your heart has a lot more work to do. It's grown to about the size of your fist. So that's about how big your heart is, the size of your fist. And it now pumps blood through the 60,000 miles of blood vessels in your body. Your heart is amazing because the one who hung the stars is the same one who shaped and formed your heart. But when you think about the word heart, you probably think of more than just a body part thumping along, don't you? You think about the emotions and feelings it holds, like happiness, sadness, excitement, and fear. And while the physical heart inside your body isn't really where all those emotions live, the heart is where people say they feel them. The incredible fact is that God, who's big enough to know all the secrets of the universe, also loves you so much that he knows all the emotions of your heart and exactly when you feel them. God knows when you're frightened, worried, happy, or sad, and every emotion in between. And he understands you. No matter how hard life gets or how dark this world seems, God has a plan to help you, and he knows just the right way to comfort you. Check out this awesome promise. I am the Lord your God. I am holding your right hand. And I tell you, don't be afraid. I will help you. That's from Isaiah 41:13. God's always with you with every beat of your heart. Okay, there's a little prayer here, so let's close our eyes and pray. God, thank you for this heart you've given me. Please fill it with your love, your courage, and your strength. And help me always to hide your word inside my heart. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, look at this one fact here. And here is a picture of the inside, just so you guys can see. And there's always a little science fact at the end. Be amazed. How fast does your heart beat? For the average person, the heart beats about 60 to 100 times each minute. If you multiply that by all the minutes in a day, your heart beats more than 100,000 times a day. And it can be even faster when you're exercising, excited, nervous, or scared. So that's what your heart looks like. And I think when you're little, a lot of people think a heart looks like that, right? But it actually looks like that. It kind of looks like a fist with some fingers. Isn't that interesting? We are going to go ahead and do activity number 1. So we're starting with an activity right off the bat. We're talking about the circulatory system. You guys say that?
Circulatory system.
Think of like circulatory system. Okay, good try. We'll keep working on that. This first activity that we have to do, you have to be very quiet. Jonah, you might want to do this one with us.
No.
Okay, you might like it. Okay, they tell you at the beginning of the lesson what supplies you need, and I didn't have an empty paper towel holder, but we just wrapped somebody's birthday present the other day. I found a long tube of wrapping paper tube in the garage, so I just cut it up into 4 pieces. So it worked out good. Sometimes you need to improvise. I'm the queen of improvising. You'll see that with my other supplies that I am using today. I'm gonna place this paper towel roll over my chest where my heart is, and you're gonna come over and you're gonna listen to my heart, okay? So you have to, everybody else to be really quiet. So why don't you come do it first? Put it on your ear and say, oh, be quiet. Can you hear it? Okay, Annabelle, come. Can you hear it? Okay, last one, Liliana. Can you hear it? Okay. So, what did you guys hear?
It was like
Okay, that's good. So, what were you listening to?
your heart.
My heart. Here, each of you can try listen to each other's hearts, but you have to be real quiet. So, let me listen to Sienna's here. See, Sienna's is going bum, 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 bum. Okay. Well, you're Annabelle. I don't hear yours. Is your heart beating? Hold on.
She's gonna die. Toni.
There, I heard it. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, you gotta be quiet. You guys can listen to each other.
Mom, look.
Yep. Okay, everybody's alive. That's a good sign.
Annabelle almost died.
Activity number 2 we are going to do. It says have the child place their middle and index fingers together, your 2 fingers, at the top of their throat, just to the side on either. Like try find the middle of your neck and try it about right here on the side. Do you feel it?
Yeah.
Do you feel it? Do you feel it? Look, you're too far back. Right here. Like by the front, find the front of your neck and touch like right here. Put your 2 fingers, there you go. Try right there.
I feel it.
You should feel. Do you feel it? Did you find it? Okay, good. Okay, so that is also your heart. So we heard our heartbeat and we felt our heartbeat, okay? All right, what did you hear when you listened through the paper towel roll? Did everybody sound the same?
No.
Some of them might have gone a little bit faster. Annabelle's was going a little bit faster. Sienna's was a little bit slower. Liliana's was kind of like in the middle. Okay, what did you feel when you placed your fingers on your throat? Like the same beat? Like boom, boom, boom. Okay. Are you sitting up here now? Okay. Listen, okay? So why is the blood pumping through your body? Why do we need that? Why is that so important? Where does it have to get to?
It has to get to my heart.
Okay, it's got to get to your heart. It's got to get to your brain. Do you have remember we learned about all those different organs inside your body?
Mm-hmm.
The blood has to pump through to every single organ in order for them to work. Otherwise, what happens? You die. So, it's very important. Today, we're going to learn about how your blood travels through your body, why it does, and what your blood is made of. We will also learn about the circulatory system, which includes the process and the organs involved in pumping blood throughout your body. So let's get started and begin our discovery of the circulatory system. So we're going to be reading from the circulatory system cards. So Liliana, can you read card number 1 nice and loud and show everybody, look at the pictures. Or she can show you the picture after she reads it.
Your blood. If we were to place a drop of blood under a scanning electron microscope, we would be able to see the very tiny cells that make up blood. Blood is made up of red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. These cells are suspended in a fluid called
Plasma. Okay.
plasma. Our blood appears red because there are many more red blood cells than white blood cells and platelets.
Good. Okay, so let's see. Can I see the picture? Okay, so here we've got, this is a picture. If you put it under a microscope, that's what our blood looks like. So it's not just wet, it's got all these tiny little blood cells. They're super tiny. You need a big microscope to blow it up big time. So that's a red blood cells, that's a platelet, and that's a white blood cell. And all those things mixed together make our blood. Here is a picture of what the cards look like. Okay, so now we're gonna do another experiment. There are quite a few experiments in this, which is kind of fun and keeps them interactive. So, we need a pint jar. Jonah, we're doing the experiment if you wanna watch. Okay. All right, so we're gonna create a model of blood. So this model represents what blood might look like if it were blown up, like in the microscope, okay? Place in the pint jar half a cup of red hot candies, which I didn't have. I need to get a couple measuring cups. We are going to use beans today because I didn't have red hot candies and I didn't have time to go to the store. So I'm hoping this experiment will work just the same. We're supposed to use red hot candy, cinnamon candies, and we're supposed to use mini marshmallows. So we are using red beans and white beans. And I hope the beans work in the experiment. Sometimes you have to use what's on hand. I don't have a half a cup thing here, so we'll do half a cup of beans. All right, who wants to dump the beans in? Okay, then we need, sure, a quarter, now these are wet, because I didn't have dried white beans. You guys can just smile at the camera for a minute. Let me rinse these real quick. Does anybody want to tell a joke? Okay, now we're gonna rinse the white beans. What? There's a strainer.
This smells like cat food. It smells like tuna.
Yeah, it's white beans. They're great white northern beans. All right, so we've got a quarter cup of white mini marshmallows.
Them? White mini beans.
White mini beans.
White mini beans.
Where are all my quarter cups? I don't have any quarter cup measuring spoons. Oh, here's half a cup. Fill this. Fill that. I'm gonna do it. Fill that halfway with the white beans, and then Annabelle.
Hey, stop eating them.
gets to put oats in it. I actually have oats.
Yeah, you do.
That's exciting. So just do half of that, Liliana, because we're doing 1/4 of a cup, okay? Okay, ready, Pookie? Her name's Liliana, but I've called her Pookie since she was a tiny baby. She loves it, doesn't she?
I dump it in.
Yes, dump it in. Perfect. Okay.
I think
Annabelle,
it'd look prettier with
your Twinkie Bank.
with candy.
Dump in 2 tablespoons of oats. It probably would, but we're gonna hope and pray that this works. We need a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. Okay, what do you guys think each item represents? Let's look at
I know. One.
look at
Is
this.
the red beans represents the red blood cells.
Okay.
And the white beans represents the white blood cells.
Okay, and Annabelle, what do you think the oats represent?
Plate.
The platelets. Good. What do we have the most of in here?
Red.
Yeah, so our blood has the most red blood cells. What are the white beans?
White blood cells.
White blood cells, and then it's got some platelets. So it kind of starts with a lot and less and even less. Good. And we're gonna read the blood's job, which is card number 2. Sienna, can you read
Okay.
card number 2?
The blood's job. Each type of cell in our blood has a specific job. Red blood cells transport oxygen from the lungs to each area of the body and transport carbon dioxide from the cells to our lungs from removal from our bodies. The white blood cells destroy germs and other particles that should not be in the bloodstream, and the platelets help the blood to clot and scab over when we bleed.
So those are important, because if that didn't happen, if those little platelets, those little pieces of oats didn't happen, and you got a scrape, what would happen?
All your blood would come
It
out.
would just bleed and bleed and bleed and bleed, and then you'd eventually probably die from a little scrape if you don't have platelets. So those are really important. So you guys can see there's the red blood cells. They actually do look like beans. The platelets are kind of, they're interesting.
Those-
Some look like little,
Those do look like spiky spikes,
Yeah.
like little spiders.
yeah. And then the white blood cells, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different
That looks like
monocyte, lymphocyte, eosinophil, basophil, and neutrophil. Okay. There's a picture of
those
that
are
card.
the white blood cells.
Okay, now we're gonna read number 3. This one's kind of long. Do one of you guys want to read this, or do you want to read it? Okay, nice and loud.
The
Circulatory.
circulatory system is blood travels throughout the body, moving through the heart and out to all the organs. Outside of the heart, the blood travels through tubes called blood vessels. The heart and blood vessels make up the
Circulatory.
circulatory system. Through the circulatory system, the blood is able to travel through the body and deliver the oxygen. Thanks to the circulatory system, even the cells in the very tips of your toes and at the top of your head are reached.
Very good. Okay, so you guys can see how that works, and everything is connected. And if it wasn't for the circulatory system, when you eat food, your nutrients that comes from the food, if you were eating beans for lunch, the nutrition from the beans wouldn't be able to get to the important parts of your body it needs to get to if we didn't have a good working circulatory system. So it's very important. All right, and the last card, number 4. Amber, do you want to read one of these, or they're pretty long? It's up to you.
Or do you want to read one of those?
Yeah, why don't you read, do you want to try the first? Just read the first part here, and I'll help you with any big words.
3 types of blood
Vessels.
vessels. There are 3 types of blood vessels.
Vessels, yep.
In the body are
Arteries,
arteries,
veins,
veins,
and capillaries.
capillaries.
So here, that's an artery, that's a vein, and then the capillaries, they had to blow up like really big, but those are the capillaries in the middle. Yeah, it does, like a tentacle.
Arteries are major blood vessels that carry blood rich with oxygen
Away.
away from the heart and out to the body.
Good. We'll let Sienna read number 2 and 3, but you did awesome. Thank you.
A vein. Veins are blood vessels that carry blood that is lacking in oxygen back to the heart. A capillaries are thin blood vessels that branch out through the body, connecting arteries and veins together. It is here that nutrients are provided and the transfer of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place.
Very good. Thank you. The heart is a muscle which is located slightly to the left side of the chest. So this is your chest, point the left side. Like when you do the Pledge of Allegiance, you put your hand on this side. So on the left side of your chest, and that is divided into 4 chambers that blood flows through. This is one of these examples of a piece of paper that we would have to take out and make copies of and then give to your kids. So that's why it's nice to keep it in a binder like this. So you can just pull it out. Now, the only problem is we need a 1-hole puncher, and I don't know where ours is right now. So we're not going to do this completely, but what we were supposed to do is hole punch all these little holes and then stick yarn through. But I think we're going to save this experiment for later because I don't know where the 1-hole puncher is, and this is going to be too hard to do with the other hole puncher. So we're just going to look at this real quick, and then we'll go through it later with the what we're actually supposed to do. And you guys just look at this while I read this to you, okay? Listen carefully. So find number 1, just point to it. Oxygen depleted blood enters the heart through 2 veins. The superior vena cava, which is 1A, point to 1A, and the interior vena cava, which is 1B. Down here. So see, it's going to go from 1A and 1B. You're supposed to use 2 separate blue threads, and oxygen depleted means there's not very much oxygen left in the blood here. From there, the oxygen depleted blood flows from the superior vena cava, which is 1A, point to 1A. Find 1A again. And the inferior vena cava, which is 1B. Into the right atrium of the heart, which is 2A and 2B. So it comes from 1A and 1B into 2A and 2B. Do you see that? Okay. So what you're doing is you would be weaving this thread throughout here and seeing how the blood goes through. We're just pointing to it. The oxygen-rich blood first flows into the left atrium, which is number 7. So try to picture, as you're doing this, the blood flowing through all these different parts of the heart. So it doesn't just come in one side and go out the other. It's weaving all throughout the heart, which is pretty crazy. It weaves all throughout the heart in that order that we talked about, and then it shoots out the top there, and that's where it goes into the different parts of the body. Isn't that amazing that God created this part inside your body that intricate that the blood can flow, come in without enough oxygen to survive, go all the way through, get the oxygen it needs, go back out through the top of the heart, and feed the rest of your body the way it needs to be fed. Pretty awesome, right? Another part of this curriculum is vocabulary words, and we have a vocabulary wall in the schoolroom. So it tells us if there's any vocabulary words to print, to cut out and put on our wall. I mentioned this in one of my other videos, my storage video. I got this cheap folder thingy at Walmart, and it's awesome, and I keep all my vocabulary words in there. So today we're putting the circulatory system cards on our wall, and then we're doing the heart. Annabelle, do you want to read the heart?
Heart. The organ responsible for pumping and circulating blood through the body.
Okay, so the heart is the organ responsible for pumping and circulating blood throughout the body. If your heart is not working, are you alive? No. This is super, super important. So here's a picture of one of these vocabulary words. They just come on like a shiny piece of paper, and we put it on the wall. So now the last thing is there's always one of these sheets, which is the circulatory system, like a note sheet. They have this for each lesson that we do, and they just take whatever notes that they found important in the lesson. So that's what you guys are going to do now. So I will give you your papers. You guys can work together, or you can come up with something that you learned, a couple things that you learned, and
do we color?
You can color that guy too, and then we'll put that in our science notebook. And that is a science lesson. So thanks for joining us for today's video. I hope you enjoyed doing a science lesson along with us, and stay tuned next week because we will be doing a language lesson, and you can follow us as we do a language lesson with us. So if you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and leave me a comment. Let us know what you think about this curriculum, or if you've ever used the Good and the Beautiful for science. It's really good. We love it so far. If you have not yet subscribed to our channel, make sure you do so you're notified when my next video comes out, and every single week. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.